What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be diving on into Ostranauts. This is a game about criminal salvagers in space. You are the employee of a Weyland-Yutani-style dystopian corporation that has mistreated you and your friends, and after seeing just one too many of them get sucked out of an airlock or lose a finger or whatever else, you decide, forget this, I'm going to make my money on the side, selling things that I find on derelict spacecraft to the black market instead of giving them to my employer like I'm supposed to. And that's pretty much the entire premise of the game. It's a sandbox sim where you break down ships in space illegally, and then you sell the parts to get more money so that you can buy other refined parts. You can commandeer the ships if you like them, so if you find a particularly juicy derelict that doesn't have too many holes in the hull, you can take it for yourself, and that's the entire gameplay loop. You go in, start with nothing, start stealing ships, fixing them, tearing them down, do whatever you want, get a crew, get a job, and then make money. So that's what we're going to do here today. This is by the venerable Blue Bottle Games, the developers of Neo Scavenger, which is kind of a cult hit in the indie world. If you've never played Neo Scavenger, I highly recommend it. Despite it not being a very pretty game, it is an absolutely fantastic game. Ostranauts, as you may be able to tell from the logo, it has the same logo as Neo Scavengers. That's to imply that this game takes place in the same universe, as I understand it, and may actually even be happening concurrently with the storyline from Neo Scavenger, but that would just be speculation on my part. We're going to dive on in today, spend about 25-30 minutes with the game, see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. I've played for about 4 hours prior to this, so I know what I'm doing for the most part. The game seems like it's going to be really tricky to figure out, and it seems like it's going to be really complicated, but actually I found that the game was pretty intuitive if you kind of just use your head and be like, okay, that's what this does, that what this does. Like, there's an initial learning curve, but once you get past it, you'll be ripping and riding no problem. So anyways, if after watching this you wanted to check the game out for yourself or wishlist it, I'll have a link for you down below in the description. You can also find a link to my Twitch stream where I've got 4 hours of playing this game after this video was recorded, and also a link to my Discord. So we've got a lot of ground to cover, we got a lot of stuff to get done and explain, so we've got limited time to do it. Let's get rolling. Alright, so this is like, I'm going to skip most of this brief tutorial period, but this little tutorial section right here is something that you're going to end up doing no matter what, and it's effectively the game's immersive way of introducing you to character customization, design, and then also you get to pick your character's background through here. I'm just going to do all that stuff on my own, and then when we come back, I'll kind of give you a synopsis of the things that I accomplished. So there's my character done and created. I tried to get him to look kind of like me. You gotta go watch my channel trailer and let me know how I did. Did I get close? I feel like I got reasonably decently close. Like, honestly, the character creator is really, really good in this game. I actually like it a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and name my character over here. What do I wanna name my character? There we go, we'll name him Hack-a-Hulk, because that's like the job that we're gonna be doing in kind of like, you know, rudimentary sort of orky terms. We've got to choose our career now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is actually a long, lengthy process that sort of harkens back to old games like Ultima 6 or like the original Morrowind or any of those games where you got to answer a whole bunch of questions, basically, about what you would do in certain situations, and after that it assigns you different jobs and proficiencies and things of that nature. I'm just going to go ahead and do it off camera because this is actually would eat up a good 10-15 minutes of the stream with me reading all the stuff, so I'm just going to do it real fast. Okay, so I got us through the character creation. A basic rough story of our character. We were a salvager, obviously, and then one of our friends came up with an idea for a big take. I went with it. Unfortunately, it was a trap, and they left us holding the bag and left us in the lurch and ratted on us, so we went to jail for a little while. After that, we were involved in a number of salvaging things that allowed us to get a degree in mechanical engineering, and we're really, really good with EVA suits, which is nice. And then we've got, like, a number of contacts over here, and also we came out with a decent little bit of money and a spaceship. So let's go ahead. Let's start the game on off. Okay, so now that we've gotten to the end of our character creation process with dear old Hack-a-Hulk here, it's time for us to set out and be on our way. That's pretty much it. We've got our own ship that the game starts us out with, so that's pretty cool. We'll take a look at it in just a second, and I'll get you kind of appraised with everything that's going on. There is a lot of flavor text, and there is some really, really good art in this game, just in case you're interested in that. I do recommend that you go through it when you're doing your own playthrough, because it can be quite immersive and atmospheric. But for now, here we are in space. We're on our little tiny tug ship right now. It's barely like a closet with us inside of it, but it's ours, and it allows us a level of freedom that we wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. The things you need to know. So there are things inside of here that make this work, and in fact, this starting pod is a blueprint for how you will eventually fix up all of the craft that you're going to be kind of commandeering in space. It's got everything from the wiring layouts to the different modules you're going to need on the inside of it in order to keep yourself oxygenated and warm and, you know, decidedly undeaded. But for right now, am I at the station? I am not at the station. Okay, so we probably want to go to the Clegg. The Clegg is basically a base that's on an asteroid that all the salvagers and criminals and everybody else use in order to kind of rest, resupply, and get themselves back on the horse. It's going to be our principal place where we recruit crew from. It's going to be the place where we get all of our tools and we get all of our goodies. In this case, it looks like our character started out with a pressure suit. I'll throw that on real fast. We've got ourselves a PDA right there. We're not really going to need that. There's a nav console on the ground. We've started out with a laser torch. That's good. We're going to need that for salvaging. And then we've got our pressure suit helmet. If you slap it on, it means that we are sealed off, and basically it takes on whatever pressure of the area that we put it on inside of and allows us to go out into other areas for a little while. It doesn't have its own oxygen supply. It basically works as like an oxygenating still suit from what I understand. To give you oxygen for like X amount of time while you're working on a derelict, but this is going to be very much inferior to like a real EVA suit that we could equip a little bit later on into the game. The number one thing you're going to want to do if you want to go to the Clegg is you've got to go to the nav station and then use it, and we'll do a brief kind of talk about what all this stuff is. So all this stuff right here, it looks very, very confusing, but it's actually not. If you just play the game, you'll figure it out intuitively. But I'll go through it all. This is the name labels on everything on the map on this little switch right here. This is our zoom level up here. So station, planet, inner, outer, solar. This right here is our tracking mode. I haven't exactly figured out what our tracking mode does. I think what it does is it accounts for the orbit that we're currently in. So if we turn it off, you'll notice that everything kind of flies by. I'm pretty sure what it does is it focuses on your ship despite the fact that orbits and objects in space are moving around. And then this one right here will more than likely focus on your target. This right here, basically the same thing. You've got a fast forward mode right here, which will basically give you a time dilation effect that shows you where you'll be in like X amount of time. We've got this right here swaps between WASD, allowing you to move your craft, which is the little, we got a proximity warning because of this idiot who's doing donuts right outside the station. Unsafe drivers, they don't just go away because we're in space. I'll tell you that. I've been crashed into by more salvagers and cop cars than you can imagine in this game. But anyways, if you want to control the map using WASD, you flip that one upwards. If you want to control your ship, you flip it downwards. So that's actually a very important switch. This guy down here I haven't had a chance to use in the 4 hours or so that I've played, so I can't exactly tell you how it works, but the rest of it was fairly easy to figure out. What we're looking at right now is this big green guy right here is an asteroid. And they've built a station on the asteroid. That's what this little diamond is. We're going to click on it to target it, and really, what you need to know with your telemetry data right here is very, very simple. You only need to know two things. You need to know your relational velocity, which is basically how fast you're moving with respect to the object that you're targeting. And then we want to have our range, which is basically how far we are away from it. I'm going to go ahead and rotate the ship a little bit with the Q key. And as you can see, my little arrow's rotating right there. We're now faced. I'm going to press W to move us forward a little bit because we need to be inside of 5 kilometers in order to initiate docking. It's going to give us a proximity warning, and that's going to sound really, really scary, but don't worry about it. It's fine. Just click the alarm and turn it off. It's working as intended. We are within proximity of an object. It's just that we intend to be inside the proximity of that object. From here, you're going to open your docking computer. You're going to select a docking target. You're going to go with the Clegg right here. And then you're going to get clearance for docking, and then you're going to accept that docking clearance, and it's going to give you a little bit of a mini game right here. Now, you want to press the opposite direction of whatever direction the arrow is in if you want to line up your ship, in case you were wondering. We got to bring this one back, unfortunately. Oh, boy. Okay, so the point of this mini game right here, sorry, you can't see what your rotation and whatnot is from right here, and so I had to even it out real fast in the overall map. Basically, the goal is to get the center of this circle. This is our pod right here, and these are the docking bay clamps. We need to get it lined up so that when we get inside of, like, 0.2 kilometers, the docking clamps can grab us. And so we'll go ahead and get ourselves situated here. I'm going to speed up a little bit so that we get into the station a little bit faster. There you go. You can see it approaching. This is effectively, if I remember correctly, in Aliens, they had something like this for when they attached the umbilicus as well. But I don't remember exactly. This feels very much Ridley Scott, sort of Giger inspired to me. We'll go ahead and bring it on in. I'm going to slow down ever so slightly because I would love to not endo into the side of the station like an idiot on my first pass. We'll go ahead and even this out, and in just a second, when we get inside of range, clamp line is going to line up if we've got this right here in the middle of our ship good enough, and then we just engage the clamps, and that's literally docking. Like, it's super, super easy. Like, it may take you a try or two to get used to it, but since I've played, like, Delta V and whatnot, like, I know what, like, V relational is, I know what Delta V is, I know what all those things are, and so actually playing Delta V helped out a lot with this game. Just with familiarizing myself with, like, terms in space and in the vacuum, the void, whatever. What we need to do while we're here on the Clegg is we need to pick up some basic supplies so that while we're out salvaging hulks, nothing bad's going to happen to us. All right, so it gave us a little, like, text intro right there. One of the big things you need to know is you're not going to be able to undock your pod unless you pay your docking fees right here at this little computer. This is one of those things that took me a minute to find it when I first started playing. I'm going to go ahead and refill the nitrous, and then we've got that all nice and covered. Our docking fees are paid, so we can leave whenever we want. Sorry, had a little bit of a movement bug right there because this little guy was in the way. I was waiting for him to leave. I got, like, stuck to the floor. Important spots you need to know about on the Clegg. You've got the scrap broker right here. You can sell them, like, basic stuff, but they don't take everything. You can also buy gear from this guy, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to want bare minimum a crowbar before we go out. There is an EVA helmet in here. Oh, wow, dude. They've got an EVA helmet. I want it. But we'll stick to the script for right now. We're going to need a crowbar, so I'll go ahead and buy one of those. We may need hole patches, but I don't think we're going to need them right now. We've already got a work lamp. We don't need the O2 bottle because our pressure suit will hold all the oxygen that we need. Let's get some Trencher's Kung Pao chicken while we're here, just so we have one meal on board and we can feed ourselves. We'll go ahead and buy that stuff. You can see your cash balance in the bottom right. This is the licensed salvagers place. So, like, the way you can think about it is there are licensed salvagers and there are unlicensed salvagers. What that effectively means is people without a license have to sell on the black market or constantly under the risk of being arrested. If you buy a license, though, it lasts for 24 hours, and after buying that license, you can buy and sell from this counter, which has way better stuff. Another thing you want to know about is the transit kiosk, which is right here. There are multiple parts to the Clegg. They haven't all been implemented yet, but the ones that are in is there's a commercial zone. We are currently in the port. And then there's the old Emporium, and that's where you're going to find the black market. When you go to the bar, there's a guy by a table, and if you talk to him and you reference your contacts and, like, the people that you know, he should allow you to sell illegal salvage to him, which is where you're going to be able to make a lot of money, provided you don't get caught by the cops. Now, we've got our crowbar. We're all ready to rock. What should we do now? Well, now we get to go out into the black of space and get ourselves situated. So how do you undock? To undock, you're going to go to your docking computer, which is always over here on the right. You're going to go to select docking target, the Clegg, and then you're going to ask for pushback taxi service. If there's anything wrong, like you have a fine or you haven't paid your docking fees, you'll get a warning that pops up right here on this screen at the bottom, and you need to go take care of that. We'll just accept for right now because I do indeed want taxi service. We'll unengage the clamps real fast, which, as you can see, our range is increasing, so we're about 30 meters away from the dock already, and then we need to find ourselves a procedurally generated ship to go and salvage, and hopefully we don't get caught by the police, because we're illegal for right now. A license is $5,000, and $5,000 we do not have. Let's go ahead and spin the ship around a little bit. We'll go ahead and zoom it on in. I want to get this kind of straightened out this way, and I think I'm just going to go for this guy down here. Is what I think I'm going to do. So we'll just kind of set out in that direction. And as you can see, our velocity is increasing. All right, we don't have a target selected, so we'll want to do that before too long so that we can actually figure out how fast we're moving in relation to the target. We're going to go for this guy right here. And so we're moving at about 300 meters per second. It's going to take us a while to get over there, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to speed up the game with the time dilation down here, and then we will even out our trajectory the best that we can. Perfect. It looks like we are on a crash course for whatever this is right here. It looks like it's about 40 kilometers out, so I will come back once we've arrived. All right, 15 kilometers out. Once we get inside of 10 kilometers, I'm going to begin air burst to slow us down. Let's slow it down. It might be a little too slow, but once we get inside of 5 kilometers, I can actually go for a docking notification. We're still on ×4 time flow, so that's fine. But I'm going to slow it down once we get inside of 5,000. And we're inside of 5,000. Proximity warning is going off. That's okay, though, because we are intending to be over here. We need to go back to our docking menu. We're going to select a target. It's going to be this unknown ship. We're going to dock, and you can see us coming in right here. Let's go ahead and get her lined up. I'm going to give it a little bit more speed because we're still pretty far out. We've still got about 3 kilometers of clearance right here, as you can see from our telemetry data. We've got it more or less lined up. We're more or less straight. It should just let us auto-clamp once we get in there. This is actually a pretty straight shot into the port, so I think we'll be all right. Okay, let's slow her down a little bit. I don't like to dock in a jarring way. Like, we could come in here with all the yeehaw in our system, you know what I mean? And, like, really get in there, but I'd rather not. Yeah, engage the clamps. Oof, I almost crashed. I was actually only 8 meters out. That was almost really bad. Okay, well, you know, I caught it in time. For whatever reason, the clamps didn't engage quite where I wanted them to. Before we go into the derelict, we've got to put on our helmet, but I'd like to have my crowbar, and I'd like to have my work lamp, because it's going to be dark in there. We'll go ahead and turn that on, and then helmet's on, boys. It's time for our first salvaging mission. Let's get onto this craft and kind of see if it's in decent shape, although I can tell already it's not. This thing's pretty beat up. Okay, so we've got a couple holes in the hull over there. This actually looks like a really small ship, so this is going to be kind of a limited opportunity to salvage. In the top right, you can see whatever I'm mousing over, so we've got an intake regulator over here. That's pretty valuable, so I'm going to go ahead and uninstall that. If you're wondering why the sound died, it's because when you're in the vacuum, there's no sound. So there's only sound when you're inside your own ship. You can tell whether or not a ship is open to the vacuum because the sound will go away. That means that you've got like a wall or something missing or like a floor that you need to repair, basically. There is a work lamp on the floor over there. Basically, I'm just going to kind of tool around and pick up everything I possibly can. I'd like to get that cooler right there. I'm not going to worry too much about picking up any of the scrap. It's only worth like $1 per unit, and so like usually it's not worth taking. We may actually be getting tracked by the cops right now, so I'm going to speed up the game a little bit. I don't want to be in here for longer than I have to. We are very much an illegal salvager right now, so I would prefer to kind of limit my time in the void as much as possible. He's almost done with the intake. Okay, the intake's off, and you can see it sitting here in a cardboard box. We'll go ahead and pick that up real fast. The N2 tank isn't really worth anything, so I'm not going to take it. However, this cooler over here, this cooling unit is worth like $1,500, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that off the wall as well. Okay, cooler unit's off the wall. We're looking good. Let's go ahead and grab it. We've got to sort our inventory a little bit right here. I'm going to go ahead and get things slotted into place and play Tetris a little bit. This large helium canister right here, I think is worth a couple thou, but it's really big in our inventory. So I'm going to kind of like tool around for a minute before I decide, does this thing have RCS control on it? There's yellow coveralls right there. Those aren't really worth that much. However, we've got another conduit right there. Oh, there's a crate. Let's go ahead and pry this thing open. There might be treasure inside of it. Let's see what kind of goodies are over here. All right, so the crate's open. Let's take a look. Oh, cash money prizes. We got a couple of laser torches. Those are worth like $3 a piece. And a salvage permit, my dudes. We just got a 5,000 credit free salvage permit. Streamer loot, man. All right. We've got gunmetal coveralls. Yeah, I'll take those. That's kind of my style. We've got some vodka over here, and then we've got another Kung Pao chicken. I'll take it. We can loot the crate. We could technically move the crate onto our ship, but it's kind of too big to fit. And so while it's tempting to take that over there, I'm not gonna. I don't know how much a fire extinguisher's worth, so I'm gonna pick up the fire extinguisher just in case. It may be useful for making money. I don't really know. Oh, we've got a turbo air pump over here. I've actually never used one of these. Honestly, this ship would be fixable, but I've already started gutting it. Like, we need to replace the wall right there. And what do we got to pry this door open? Hold on. Yoink. There's another breach right there, but, like, honestly, we fixed 2 walls in here. 3 walls. There's a little section right there. A little section right there. A couple sections right there, in all honesty, but, like, I feel like it's actually, this is not that hard to fix. We do have the RCS clusters over here. If you don't know what the RCS is, the rotational control system. I think that's what RCS stands for. Basically, they're thrusters on the side of your ship that allow you to do centrifugal and rotational motion. But thrusters tend to be worth a bunch of money, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these real fast off both sides, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Actually, his RCS cluster looks like it's missing from this right side. So he only had, I guess, left side thrust. It's not great. We could install this battery over here. I think the battery might be worth a little bit of money. I don't know if I want to take this turbo. Like, I feel like it's called a turbo air pump. That means it's got to be awesome, right? Let's see if that's worth any money. I mean, we honestly don't have to worry about the police anymore since we found that permit. Assuming that it's good for today, somebody left like a whole bunch of goodies inside of here. What tends to happen is you'll board these derelicts and there'll be evidence that someone else has been here salvaging. Like certain objects will be packed up and there'll be like a pile of hole patches in the corner with like a welder next to it. And like sometimes you'll find like, you know, like we did the salvage pass or whatever. So we may have just jacked somebody's claim in all honesty. I don't know how much more I can fit inside my inventory. We're pretty full up right now, and honestly, this is kind of looking like a money run. I think we're about to get paid, but like I don't think I would really have it any other way. I'm going to pick up this work lamp, so we'll grab that real fast. It looks like there is an intake regulator. It looks like we've got the helium canister, but I don't think we can fit that in our inventory. There's a bunch of loose walls here, actually, so yeah, I think someone was trying to fix up this ship. There's a whole bunch of parts laying around over here. Okay, well, let's go back to the Clegg and see what we can sell this stuff for. So we're off and away. I'm headed back to the Clegg. We're going to see how much money we can make here. If we make enough money, like, honestly, I feel like that last ship actually wasn't in that bad of condition. It was basically like a better version of our pod. I probably should have used some of those hole patches and some of those loose walls to see if I could oxygenate it and get it to hold pressure. And then we could have swapped it for the Base Heavy, which is the ship that we're in right now. You can rename your ship. I called my last one the Fart. You're more than welcome to call it whatever you want. One thing that does bug me is my consoles. They don't stay set. So, like, if I turn off all the name tags and stuff, like, they turn back on every single time I leave and come back to the ship. I wish that all my dials and everything would stay exactly where I left them. I'm sort of fastidious about stuff like that in my workstation. Like, I like things to be where they're supposed to be in the setting where I last left them. We're right about at 15 kilometers outside the Clegg right now. We will be there momentarily. Once we get to 5 kilometers, I'm going to cut thrust and we'll get ourselves a docking notification, and I'll introduce you to the fixer. Oh yeah, and pay attention to your RCS remass. Your RCS remass is how much fuel you have left for your thrusters. Running out of that is a bad idea. You're going to have a bad time if you run out of thrust fuel in the void. You will become one of the derelicts that you're trying to salvage. That's just, you know, a little warning from me to you. Might be a number to keep an eye on. Make sure you have lots and lots of kilograms of it left inside the thrusters. Okay, so we're all docked up. We're back at the Clegg. Let's go ahead and jump up off our console and let's go see if we can make any money. I'm going to do my best to sell things legally. Like, I may not, because I found the salvage permit, I may not actually need to go to the black market. Let me see if it lets me trade at the counter. It does indeed let me trade at the counter. So we actually don't need to do this through the black market because we found a license that effectively makes us allowed to do things as we please. So we are a freelance, just straight out of the box. We're a freelance salvager right now. And here I was thinking we were going to be a criminal for a little bit. We're going to sell off that cooler that we grabbed. That's a good place to start. Intake regulators worth $700. Looks good. We found 2 free laser torches. I'm going to sell both of those because they're worth bank. I'm not going to sell my salvage permit. I need that. We can sell the vodka we found. Looks like a fire extinguisher is not really worth altogether that much. Our RCS cluster is worth $2,000. Turbo air pump, $400 or $1,400. Okay. We've got the extra work lamp. It's not really worth much, but I'll get it out of my inventory real fast. And I think that's pretty much it. Now, the nice thing about this shop is they will hold on to these items for like a day or two. So if you end up needing them back to fix up a ship that you find, you can just come buy them back real fast. But there we go. We've got 17,000 in cash after our first salvage run. Not bad at all. That is going to eat into our overhead. Don't get me wrong. So, like, people tend to get paid, like, 20,000 credits a day in this game. Luckily, a day is, like, really, really long. So, like, you've got plenty of time, especially when you've got multiple crewmen, to go out and get, like, tons of stuff. What's this guy want? He's asking me what's up. I don't know. What's up with you, man? Can I ask you about your skills? You do have a sim-style system on this side where your character needs to have, like, autonomy, a need for achievement, all that kind of stuff. You get traits based on when you started out and how you made your character. So, like, I'm fragile. I'm an insomniac. I'm immunosuppressed, apparently. I don't remember picking that, but all right. I have no idea what hypovolemic means. That's one of those medical terms that, unfortunately, I'm not appraised of. We're visually impaired. That one I can identify with in real life because I can't see a damn thing. We've also got our skills over on this side, so it's got like a little bit of a RPG bent going on as well. So we're good with mechanical engineering, persuasion. We know the streets because we're a gangster. We're good at zero G-ops. We know spaceship engineering. We know the etiquette of oligarchs because one of our friends is a high-ranking... I think we end up with contacts from how we made our character, and I think one of our contacts is like a high-ranking corporate guy. So we know how to move in oligarch circles from being around them. We can ask this guy about jobs. You know anything about jobs? Rhodes says he's not looking for work. Okay, fair enough. I'll change the subject then. And then I will leave because I didn't really want to talk to you in the first place. If you don't have a salvage license, where you need to go is you need to go to the transport terminal. And you need to go to Mescaform right here. And there'll be a guy at a table on the left in the bar. And you talk to him, and you can ask to trade. He's like the only person in the bar you can ask to trade with. And he'll, like, basically grill you and be like, me, I'm a gangster. I don't talk to people who aren't verified. And, like, you'll have to, like, either present him with a criminal contact that you know that he knows about so he knows that you're, like, a legit criminal. Or you need to, like, radio in that you're friends with high corporate and you'll snitch on him if he doesn't help you. Like, basically, there's a number of ways to get around it. But once you do that, you can start salvaging without a license because the license costs 5,000 credits a day in order to just operate. So anyways, let's get back out here and let's do another craft, I guess. So I figure we've got a permit for another 24 hours. We might as well make use of it. Let's go take a look at this other craft down here. I keep doing that, dude. I do that every single time where I click back and then it kicks me off my nav console. I'm going to go ahead and bring her around real fast. We don't have a lot of range on the port right now. I'd prefer not to scuff my butt on the edge of it. I got to turn off my labels again. I don't need my labels at all. All right, there we go. Now we're straightened out. I'm going to go ahead and give ourselves some thrust, and we are going after this bad boy down here. Okay, let's have a look at you, bad baby. You're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and cut thrust. Clear the proximity warning. And I'm going to go ahead and get docking, all nice and set. Docking clearance accepted. There we go. We've got a little bit of a thing going on right now. But I can push her on up. Our relational's a little bit too high, but that's okay. We're still closing the gap right now with the station itself, or the craft itself. This might be a big ship. It might be a little ship. We don't know till we get there. We're inside of 2 kilometers right now. I'd prefer to have this lined up already, but such is life. You don't always get what you want. Let's go ahead and cut thrust a little bit further so that the clamps can grab us. Oop, overcorrecting a little bit. There we go. Now we've got it. There's the good stuff. All right, we'll cut thrust a little further. And right in the sweet spot. Get us with the clamps there. So some things about this game that I would recommend you watch out for. This game is undeniably buggy. I recommend that if you are going to get into the early access, you understand that there are a lot of bugs. This is one of those games that things are going to go wrong from time to time. It's going to crash on you. It's going to bug out on you. There's going to be weird things that happen. I save probably every 15 minutes or so because of it. So this game's been in early access for about a year, and I was hoping it would be a little bit more stable. Alas, unfortunately, not the case. Can I get you open right here? It's closed off and locked. Can I pry it? Access the lock. Oh, it's got an actual key code, but the power's out. Okay. That'll be an interesting thing to deal with. I'm just going to uninstall the door. Hopefully this isn't still pressurized, otherwise bad things are going to happen. But yeah, you are going to run into bugs with this one. In fact, before I even started recording this, I had to reinstall the game, because whenever I would make a new character, I would just asphyxiate instantly the second I spawned into my pod. The door is officially off. We lucked out. It was not pressurized. This is a tiny little pod, though. Like, this is not really much. Is there anything, like, wrong with it? I don't really see anything wrong with this guy. It seems okay to me. Wiring looks all good. There's no holes in the hull. It looks like the battery has juice. It's got a heater. It's got life support. I think we may have a winner right here. This may be a keeper. Oh yeah, she came alive. Looky there. She's actually in the money. This might be worth claiming. So I think I got this bad Betty up and running. I fiddled with it for a little bit to figure out what was going on, and it looked like it just had like a pressurization problem. So I swapped the O2 canister from our old canister. Why is there a guy out here? Huh. Weird. Can't say that I've ever seen that before. It's mildly unnerving. Why is there a guy outside the oh, he's gone. What the hell? Alright, well anyways, what I did was I opened up all the airlocks and I allowed all the systems that were working inside of this ship to repressurize and reoxygenate this ship. Our pressure is still way too high, but the pressure alarm is not going off anymore, so I think we're good. Aside from that, I swapped out the RCS thruster so that we've got even thrust on either side, and it's all looking good. The oxygen tanks are filled and they're ready to rock. The hull is patched. It's all ready to go, like there was no repairs to do on the hull. And so we've effectively taken our first ship. So that's good. Pretty productive episode, in my opinion. We took a ship, and we are gutting this one now for all the parts so that we can sell them. And I showed you the basics of salvaging, and it looks like everything's going pretty well. Closing thoughts time. We're at the end of the video, so it's time to kind of go through and I'll give you my observations after like 9 or 10 hours playing the game, because I got another 4 hours in between like the end of the video and when I recorded the closing thoughts. Normally, I'm not into engineering-type games that have a lot of fiddly-diddly Factorio, wire-running, type things going on. But I like Ostranauts a lot more than I thought I would have. I'm very, very addicted to this game, but there are, despite that, some glaring concerns here with regards to potential people who have money on the line and are planning on being buyers or consumers of this title, and you should know those things 100% before you hit the void with your eye on some salvage cash. This is very much an early access game. I didn't cover it for about a year or so after release in the hopes that my initial impressions of the game's quality would be wiped away and it would be in much better condition a year later, but that was not the case with my playtime. It is a very good game. Don't get me wrong. The core mechanics are solid, and fixing up a beater of a ship over 5 or 6 hours is tremendously satisfying when it's a huge upgrade for your character. The HUD is immersive, the sound design is very well done, but all of that out of the way, this game is buggier than Clendathu. So, like, only get involved at the time of this video's posting if you have a really high tolerance for janky, rough edges, many of which can actually be game-breaking or force you to load a save. Now, for those of you that are more curious, I do have a VOD on my Twitch channel, and you are more than welcome to swing on through and check that out. I played this game for 4 hours, and while my 3 or 4 hours spent prior to making that stream were almost entirely bug-free, I didn't have any problems, my stream could not brag about the same achievement. We hit every game-breaking bug that you possibly could over that 4-hour period, and I could definitely tell it was starting to wear out my live audience. I was having a great time because I think the core idea is that good, and as a gamer, that tends to be what I latch onto. The idea. That's why I'm into novel games like this. But, that being said, your average person is going to go full screeching ree when they get hit with some of the bigger bugs, especially if the game is using up their limited free time. The devs are attentive, they are patching, and they are releasing major content updates at reasonably regular intervals. I went back through their update schedule and it looks good to me. However, many of the mechanics that are currently in the game, they're implemented, but they are obviously half-baked and not finished yet and not quite ready for the sunshine. Like, a lot of those mechanics, you'll notice them if you play. There's a lot of things where you're like, they're planning on refining this later. There are also just crashes, like hard crashes to desktop that happen to me along the way, and the AI's logic definitely needs some work because it causes major problems at the space station with like traffic jams and not being able to get through doors and whatnot. It's also a game with a really stiff learning curve along the way. It takes a while to really get and understand the meat of this game. I enjoy it, but I'm not going to operate in this video under any pretenses that it isn't in a rough state at the moment. Still, if you have no problem effectively being a playtester for Ostranauts and helping the devs out, and you're okay with that after paying money, there is fun to be had here. However, for people that are expecting a very polished, content-rich, feature-complete experience, keep an eye on it. Definitely stay away until a later date. I can't stress that enough. You are bug testing this game right now, and while it's fun, you are a bug tester. So give it some time and see if it cleans up. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Ostranauts, a game about salvaging in space and being a spice criminal. I'll see you later. Thank you for stopping on in. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and that's about all I got for you today. Bye.